Clap 3 times if you care about conservation. All right, now we're ready to get started. We're going to make sure this goes smoothly, so we're just going to go ahead and start at this side, work our way down with it. Oh, we're going to start at this side. Yes, we're going to start this direction and have Rich introduce himself first. Rich, go ahead and take it away, sir.
So, all right, everything is quieting down. I was telling somebody earlier, it took everything in me not to do a barbaric yelp when that was going on there. I have in my hand here Sustainable Funding for Conservation of Iowa's Natural Resource Agenda. This was August 9th in 2006. This was the first meeting of IWIL in 2006. So we're approaching a 20-year anniversary of that. Now, I get discouraged, but remember, we only have to win once, right? Once that thing starts, it's forever. And it's in the Constitution. It can't be gotten rid of unless there's another constitutional vote. So, yes, it's discouraging. Yes, we have work to do, but it's going to happen. It's just when. Maybe 20 years, who knows, right? Okay, that doesn't count against my 10 minutes, by the way. All right, so I've been told, we're going to talk about quality of life, recreation. I've just been humbled by this whole conference, right? All of you people, you're my friends, you're my family. I've been working with you for decades. I look at the pictures and the awards, and I am so humbled just to be here amongst all of you. So thank you for everything you do. And there's a lot of people I don't recognize, which is awesome, because they're much younger than I am. And they're the next generation that has to pick up that torch and keep going. That can count against my 10 minutes. Okay, conservation, when it's convenient, has to stop. So, Henry David Thoreau, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Be bold. When I think about conservation, the conservation community, I think too many times, especially if there's in a pinch, it's politically uncomfortable, we're facing an economic downturn. Well, what's the first thing cut? Conservation. Stop it. Stop doing that and stop apologizing for what we do. I'm very much, I talk about land, right? And we've got this wonderful bond that we've had here in Polk County, and I know that's an exception. We haven't got this across the county. But in the last 10 years, I believe our staff has worked and acquired 56 different parcels of land, and I'm not apologizing for it. It's something that needed to be done. The land that we bought is either, along streams, bad CSRs, it's in between communities. You heard all the development that's happened here in Polk County. If you don't do it now, it's not going to happen, kind of thing. So we have done so. We tie into all the arguments that you've been hearing about recruitment and retention of a workforce. And some of it is the constituency, right? So you go in, like the first bond we passed here in Polk County was about bumper stickers and billboards and radio ads and stuff like that. This last bond we passed was about city councils and the Taxpayers Association. And those types of settings we're not usually very comfortable with. We went and talked to them face to face about what happened with the first bond and what we wanted to do with the second bond. The Great Outdoors Foundation helped us out. They raised the money, they had the campaign, and we passed that bond. I think it was 81.3% of the vote. Yes. Now, talk about bipartisan, nonpartisan, to heck with partisan. It just was wanted by the voters of Polk County, and those 19%, 18.7%, they vote against anything anyway, right? So we had vast consensus with what we were doing there. All right, switching gears, talking about water. So we have this 4-mile greenway. In 2018, there was a flooding event in East Des Moines. It rained 10, 11 inches in Ankeny overnight, and it went through the east side of Des Moines and blew out 300 homes and businesses. Now, we know what climate change is. We know what it does. Chance favors a prepared mind. So when this happened, we got in there right away and said, yes, you've had 300-year floods in the last 10 years, and it's going to happen again. So what do we need to do? We used some of our bond money, we talked to the city of Des Moines, and we moved those people out of harm's way and created a 4-mile greenway. We based it on the 500-year floodplain. Now, that's not happened in the state of Iowa that I know that. So when you look at climate change data and the way things are going, we know that's going to happen, but society really doesn't. So it's like, okay, we're going to do it on the 5-year, 100-year floodplain, and nobody said anything, so we did. What that allowed us to do was then to look at the tributary streams, not just the main stems of these streams, and make improvements in Little 4 Mile, Michikanac, and some of these smaller creeks coming in. So it's another way, I think, water, we talk a lot about water and water quality, and it's important, but we can talk about water quantity, too. And that what we do slows waters down, it makes it better, safer for people, and it's naturally the way it should be. Public health. So you heard, about the cancers and stuff like that, and that's just shocking, horrifying, or whatever. We can talk about public health the other way around, too. So talk about public health in a way that we are part of the solution. You heard that, but be bold about it. Don't shy away from that. I remember during COVID, we were worried about economic downturn. It never happened, but during COVID, a lot of the political entities were saying, okay, we're going to have to cut back, conservation when it's convenient, and we stood up and said, whoa, wait a minute. They said, give us a list of your essential employees. I gave them a list of everyone, every single person. We are 3% of the county budget. Our visitorship in Parks and Trails went up 31% during COVID. We had 4 million visitors to our Parks and Trails. Please do not cut a single person from conservation. We can say that. Don't apologize. We are such a small slice that I believe that we can advocate. When you look at bang for the buck, you're not getting it anywhere like you are in conservation and those types of things. Switching gears a little bit, going to outdoor recreation, which is some of what this is going to be talking about. And we've got people up here that are going to address that very well. Traditional recreation, we've heard about that. Hunting, fishing, camping. If it wasn't for the hunters and anglers, we wouldn't have a conservation movement. We need to understand that, respect it going forward. These are some of the other things that we do for the traditional. Now we have some non-traditional starting to slip in. So our recreational trails and now our water trails are sort of non-traditional, but we're looking even beyond that. So this ties in again with the economic arguments that people move to a place they want to live, and then once they get there, they get a job. So we're looking at things like in the winter. And we know that there's less and less snow, and people are bored, want to do something in the winter. We're doing this thing called Snowflex. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, where it's like an AstroTurf that goes down the side of this hill. And there are sprinkler systems that have a gentle mist over the top of this, 650 heads that spray water, and you can tube, ski, snowboard year-round on this thing. Bizarre, non-traditional, but it's going to be kind of awesome. We don't do swimming pools and dog parks and stuff like that. But something like this, it's self-driven outdoor recreation, and it's going to be hot. There are user groups, the millennials and Gen Zers, that are looking for these types of activities, especially in off seasons. Lauritsen Skate Park. I'm an ecologist. To know that I'm in charge of an 85,000 square foot concrete skate park, no, I didn't see that one coming. I never thought that was going to be on my resume. We got it. And you know what, last year I think, and I've got staff that are better numbers than I am, but we had 240,000 visitors. And I go out and I hang out there, and these are people that we normally don't connect with, that are out there having fun. I see 20-somethings helping teens learn how to skateboard or BMX bike or whatever they're doing out there. It's another non-traditional form of recreation that I think we have to open our minds to. And then we've got bikes. So, we've got the different water trails. Now, I'm not going to touch on that. We got BMX trails. We got electric bikes. One of the big things that we've been talking about is like DEIA. How accessible are our places? And we look at ethnic groups and gender and age and different physical or mental abilities and stuff like that. So here's a little story. I love the legislator that talked about storytelling. So we've been negotiating a couple of pieces of land for a long time, trying to get this trail connection. A couple old farmers. They're in their 60s and they still refer to daddy's land, right? They inherited the land from them. And these are good salt of the earth people. These are good farmers, and they're very reluctant to sell. So we worked with these farmers for 2 years on all the details and going through and developing a relationship with them. Well, we finally got the papers sold last week, which was the papers signed last week. So we get those papers signed, and one of the farmers said, so when's the trail going to be done? And we said, well, it's probably going to be 2 years. We'll probably have design and engineering this next year, and it'll probably start. So in 25, you can expect a trail. And this landowner said, well, good, because my wife has had cancer. And she has had to go through a lot of treatments. She's not physically like she used to be, but she loves being outside. Last week, I bought her an electric bike. Right? First of all, first lesson, don't stereotype people. Keep an open mind on where they want to be and who they are. Everybody's got their life story. And then secondly, think about this. One of the things we're doing at Polk County Conservation is this Easter Lake Athene North Shore Recreation Area. So this is an $8 million improvement where we took accessibility and universal design to its next level. Again, Great Outdoors Foundation nods to them. They're helping us with the financial pieces of this. But we tried to look at all these different user groups, whether it was autism spectrum, physical disabilities, things like that, everything. We worked with the Harkin Institute and the blind and the deaf and all these different communities, figuring out how do we create what we think is the most accessible, universally designed park in the United States. And we did it. And not just that we did it, we developed a template that you can do it again. So now, every single facility we do, this is how we're going to do it. And it's not proprietary. We've already been sharing it with anybody that will listen, the methods that we use to go through. So, as we're thinking about recreation, think about the total population and everybody that just now that could use it, but that could use it in the future. One thing is nature for nature. Okay, I'm almost there. We're a conservation board, and we do nature for nature. We're working with Iowa Natural Heritage Foundation on an 1,100 piece of land, which is a green belt. We need to keep doing that. Looking forward, the only other thing I'll say here is live the life that you've dreamed. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you've imagined. Go confidently in the direction. That's another thing. The last quote I'll leave you with is actually from Al Capone. Do not mistake kindness for weakness. We can still be nice people, be respectable people, but don't apologize anymore. Stand up for what you do and be proud of what you do. I am. Thanks.
I just want to say how honored I was to work with Rich on that Polk County Water and Lead Legacy campaign as Jen comes up here, and I see a number of folks in the audience who worked to help pass that campaign and guide that, like Mark Ackelson. So thank you for the work you did on that. Go ahead.
I will
Jen.
be short and sweet as I possibly can. Good morning, everybody. I am Jen Cross. I am the Vice President Donor Relations for the Great Outdoors Foundation. My CEO, Hannah Inman, is supposed to be here today, but I'm in her place, and I will try my best to do her justice, all right? So Rich kind of talked a lot about the Great Outdoors Foundation and who we are. I want to give a little tidbit of information. So you've heard the Polk County Bond, Icon Water Trails, all of our great fundraising opportunities. We started as a volunteer organization for Polk County Conservation, selling firewood and kayak rentals. So we have come a long way since 1996, I think was the first year. So we're super excited to be here, and I just want to let you know that, so obviously Jesser Park Nature Center was our very first fundraising campaign for Polk County Conservation outside of the kayak and firewood rentals. And then right after that, everyone kind of was looking in the industry and saying who could help raise money for, at that point, was Central Iowa Water Trails. You guys have heard about ICON, you've heard about the work that's been going on, the 150 miles of waterways across a couple counties. So we were the ones that stepped up to the plate to do that fundraising work. We are 90, I think, look at my team back there, 98% fundraised for that, $2 more million. If anyone has a couple $1 million, I will take them today. That is my fundraising job, my pitch there. But we really believe as GOF to use outdoor recreation as a catalyst for conservation. So by putting the Icon Water Trail system into place, we really felt that bringing people to the water was a different approach to create stewards of our water. It got people kayaking, it got people worrying about it got people talking about it. So Icon Water Trails has already started construction and will be the first two sites of Fluor Drive and Scott Avenue, which is Principal Point, will be open for recreation at the end of 2026. I'm looking at my team back there because they are nodding their heads. I'm getting my talking points right. So we're super excited to be able to have people in our rivers kayaking and recreating. But obviously, you know, a lot of this crowd and a lot of us have talked about, well, people in our water. What does that mean? So that's kind of where GOF 2.0 has come in. We have really redone our mission. Our new mission at Great Outdoors Foundation is to advance conservation through innovation, collaboration, and stewardship. So when we took a look at what Icon Water Trails did for water quality, and every single element of Icon Water Trails has a water quality element piece into the program, so there's 80 amenities. Every single piece has water quality inside of it. And so looking at that, we're like, how can we continue this conversation? How can we enhance conservation through outdoor recreation? How can we make, you know, GOF be that 2.0 version of what that looks like from an upstream, downstream water quality partnership? So when we did a survey of all of our donors, board members, and public, they came back and put GOF as the happy disruptors, which I really like that because I'm a pretty happy person. And we really want to make sure that we continue that path moving forward. So when those three words came into our mission statement, innovation, collaboration, stewardship. Innovation, we think outside of the box to create creative conservation solutions for our central Iowa and beyond. Collaboration, we bring together the right people, resources, objectives to achieve a common goal, similar to how Rich talked about with Polk County Conservation, the bond, all the different fundraising opportunities we've done for them. Stewardship, that's our big one, maximizing output through creative multiplying strategies. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about what has happened since ICON. So when we had ICON Water Trails, we led the initiative for fundraising for that. We also led the governance. It was an incubator under GOF, and now it's its own entity. We've led many capital campaigns for outdoor quality of life initiatives. One thing that happened during ICON, which was super interesting to me, is that Athene, who obviously you saw was also a big donor on the Easter Lake project, came to ICON and said, I will give you $1 million, but I want all of my investment to go through water quality. We're like, perfect, we can make that happen. We have some bioreactors, we have some wetlands that are part of this project, we can make that work. So when we had that gift come in from Athene, super grateful for that gift, we kind of sat back and thought, we can do more with this. Athene gave that money out of their sustainability or ESG funding, and so when we sat down the table with Athene, we're like, we can do more of these projects, we can do creative solutions with private investment. So what that led to is we have partnered with Athene USA and have launched, you guys have maybe saw in the business record a few weeks ago, the Conservation Fund. So Athene was the seed money at $1.8 million to do conservation work and water quality work upstream and downstream in our waterways. They really invested and took private investment into to match with public dollars. So as you guys have probably heard, there is a lot of money coming in from the Inflation Reduction Act, a ton of money, especially through USDA. So when we sat down at the table and thought about what GOF could do as GOF 2.0, it was really taking private dollars, stacking them against public dollars, and maximizing the output for water quality in Iowa. So this year, in April, we launched the Conservation Fund quietly. In October, we launched the $1.8 million that has been the seed gift from Athene, and it's really a way to utilize private dollars to unlock public investment. I look over at Susan here with iDolls, who is a really good partner in this, and we look at that, how we can make impactful change with the dollars we have. I really don't want to take too much time because I want Luke to give me the wrap it up signal, but I'm happy to answer any more questions after this. I know we have a couple panel questions that'll probably be coming in, but we are really excited to be in this space. We really want to thank you guys for having us today, and we're super excited to make a really meaningful impact in water quality. Oh, and donate. So scan the QR code.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for the summit, for the opportunity to be here. My name is Graham McGaffin. I'm the State Director for the Nature Conservancy in Iowa. Thank you to the panelists as well, and thanks for this topic on the agenda. I love this topic. It gets my conservation transactional brain working, and I just love the conversation. So I too will be intentionally brief to encourage a conversation about nature and quality of life. And a couple examples I give are from the Loess Hills, and maybe that was just an excuse to reuse this photo, which never gets old. Dean Rusa is the photographer from the Iowa DNR, and I include him whenever I can. The Nature Conservancy is a global conservation organization. We have over 1 million members. We have 5,000 employees, 18% of which are scientists. We're active in all 50 states in the United States and 79 countries around the world. Collectively, we have protected over 125 million acres of land and 5,000 river miles, and we actively manage and steward and pay taxes on preserves around the country. And our mission behind all of that is to conserve the lands and waters on which all life depends, and I think that is the critical statement for this conversation. The Nature Conservancy in Iowa, we have been here 60 years. We're celebrating 60 years this year. Our first preserve is actually 62 years old. It's Berry Woods down by Indianola. But we founded as an independent Iowa chapter in 1963. The Conservancy began in 1951. And for the longest time, we were a volunteer-led board. We are now staffed. We have 23 staff around the state. We have 16 Iowa-based trustees. We have protected over 20,000 acres of high-quality habitat around the state through our preserve system, through conservation easements with private landowners. We're a partner with private landowners. Our table out there has a lot of our 4R+ information on partnering with production ag and practices that can go on the farm. We're an active land manager, working with many partners in the room on fire and other practices on our preserves and partner lands. I use the word hungry. We're a hungry wetland restorer. We have an Oxbow program that we've been working in the Boone River watershed, the Cedar River watershed, for many years on Oxbow restorations. We have a climate program. Just earlier this week, we cut the ribbons down at Urban Dreams here in Des Moines in a partnership with Grow Solar, Polk County, on implementing, installing solar panels down there. And this morning's conversation, we're an advocate here in Des Moines, we're an advocate at the U.S. Capitol, we're an advocate in county courthouses and city council meetings, advocating for nature and nature funding. But we're a science-based organization. I have this map. This is our Resilient and Connected Network mapping. We did this for the 48 states, and this was completed. This is terrestrial lands. We've done this for freshwater as well. Those areas that, if conserved, will sustain wildlife in a changing climate, right? So this was our analysis of where do we need to work as the Nature Conservancy. Rich hit on nature for nature's sake. This is the nature for nature's sake argument. And we've been driven by that for our history. We're still driven by that. The places we work are dialed in where we can deliver the biggest return for wildlife. It's also, it's efficient. It's the biggest return on our investment in terms of hours spent, dollars, grants written, etc. And so this is where we're working as a science-based organization. And now the trick, and this is where I love getting this on the conservation brain, how do we tie this in to what matters for people? There's the nature for nature's sake argument, but we realize as advocates, we got to make this bigger. We got to broaden the constituency, and we got to find the dollars. I think Representative Wills mentioned $18,000. Thankfully, there's a lot of ground that's not that high, but land is not cheap, and so you're fundraising for this. You're broadening the constituency. You're getting the energy in the room to do projects. How do you bring that into where science is telling you need to work? And so the examples I'll use are from the Loess Hills in western Iowa, and I had the great pleasure for many years before becoming the state director of the Nature Conservancy to be the Loess Hills project director, so it's a joy to talk about projects that are near and dear to my heart. The Loess Hills, this quote was taken from the National Park Service Special Resource Study that was done in 2002, and it's still amazing. The recommendation of the study was that the Loess Hills have geologic and biological significance that warrant a national park. However, the conditions weren't feasible. So what other options were there? And the option was, all right, conservation groups, now go focus on those areas of highest quality habitat. And that is what has been done. But this is why the Nature Conservancy and many of our conservation partners give the hills, and you can see, if you look up in the shadows now, you can see the cat step of the topography up there, and you can really see, the rough topography is why the Loess Hills have 75% of the remaining tallgrass prairie in the state of Iowa, and that's why they're important for migratory birds, for butterflies. So again, there's where the science is telling us. But a couple examples of how we undertook conservation projects that stood on their own in terms of conservation merit, and dialed them into a quality of life amenity as well. And one I'll give a shout out to on the far right is the Green Hill Ranch project. It was a collaborative effort with the DNR, the Heritage Foundation, and if Brenda's still in the room, a shout out to Iowa West for being an early supporter and visionary behind that project as well. The Hummel project was another one. These are both, and thank you, Luke, I see you. These are both large projects that stand on their own in terms of conservation merit. 500 acres for Green Hill, 800 for Hummel, and we would have done them anyways, but it was also an opportunity to engage the communities of Council Bluffs and the community of Sioux City to get folks out there to appreciate this quality of life amenity that this conservation project was bringing to their community. Something we're also thinking about on our own lands. Broken Kettle Grassland Preserve is north of Sioux City. It's 3,700 acres. I think I'm going to steal from Brenda again. She talked about Hitchcock and conservation being done with the long game. This is the long game. This is 23 transactions to build a 3,700 acre preserve, 150 head of bison. Again, the bison are there for the prairie is there for the wildlife, but we do have hundreds of acres available for public recreation. And just quickly, something new we tried, we purchased a Girl Scout camp next to Broken Kettle. It's going to be part of the preserve, but we intentionally, in collaboration with the DNR and the U.S. Forest Service, completed the first community forest in the state of Iowa, which is privately owned land, publicly available. It's got a trail system, and we're being intentional about getting the folks out. So again, these are projects that we as a nature-based as a science-based organization, love these projects, would do them anyways, but we understand the conversation that was happening this morning and the need to engage, broaden the constituency, and so we're being intentional. And that's my challenge for myself and our team and for all of us in the room, to be creative and be collaborative and pursue these things together. So, thank you.
Hello. My love for nature, animals, and water have been a part of my DNA since early childhood. Family trips to visit my grandparents in California were filled with outside adventures at the beach, SeaWorld, and Wild Animal Park. I loved picking up seashells, sea stars, and touching dolphins. This retro photo captures that moment in time. I'm on the left side, my mama Charlotte is in the middle, and my twin sister is on the right. I so wanted to have dolphins swimming in a pond in my backyard in Iowa, and I couldn't figure out why that couldn't happen. At 9 years old, I started a reptile club to protect these amazing creatures and share more with others about the waterways in which they live. The Des Moines Register took notice of the open house signs posted at one of the street corners. The next day, we made the front page. We were pretty excited at that age. We had frogs, turtles, and snakes. I remember collecting tadpoles and crawdads from local creeks and ponds. The smell of that rich black soil in the summer breeze with the field grasses blowing in the wind will forever be etched in my early childhood memories in Iowa. As a young adult, I moved to San Diego, California, where I pursued my interest in career working with marine mammals, environmental issues, and food cultivation. In 2000, I moved to the Caribbean, where I continued my advocacy for furthering environmental, marine, and agriculture projects. I spent over a decade on the ground, where I initiated and developed a post-Hurricane Ivan a nonprofit goat dairy project on the island of Grenada in the West Indies, where we made delicious goat dairy products for the local market. I'm proud to say it's still in operation today. I have had the privilege and opportunity to work with people from all walks of life, from leading researchers, veterinarians, and scientists, to individuals from rural, marginalized communities. It now continues in my home state of Iowa, and I'm proud of it. I'm a homecomer. This image is super powerful to me and symbolic for many reasons. It reflects my Iowa roots, with my mother standing next to the deep roots of a native prairie grass at the Neil Smith National Wildlife Refuge Museum. Upon my return to Iowa 8 years ago, I found myself at my first Iowa Environmental Council meeting. which impacted my current life and journey here, equally as important as my Reptile Club's mission, to protect life and the waterways in which we depend on. At this conference, and since then, I've learned the latest facts and truth about the deteriorating health of Iowa. My precious Iowa was much worse than I thought it was. I learned that the health of our water quality and the soil loss is worsening yearly, despite the millions of dollars of supporting voluntary conservation efforts. Our native deep-rooted prairie once covered 85% of the landscape. Less than 1% remains today. Over the past 200 years, we have managed to alter this native land, and it is now covered with an unsustainable, intensive two-crop system, along with 25 million pigs and millions of other concentrated animal feeding operations. This learning experience was a full circle moment for me. I realized that my home state of Iowa is one of the major contributors to the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico, and is also contributing to climate change. Is Channing in here? Channing, climate change, if you're here. I just wanted to point that out. So, as an Iowa homecomer, learning these facts activated me to want to dig further into our deep-rooted landscape and made me want to be part of the change. Did you know that the Mississippi is one of the cleanest warm rivers until it hits Iowa? Did you know, of course you do after the last 2 days, we are number 2 in the nation for cancer, with rates climbing every year? The problem with Iowa's water is that it is extremely polluted, and in some cases it could kill you. The good news is that we the people have the power to change this. You can be a change agent, and you can be part of the solution. We can turn this around and help Iowa become a true leader in regenerative agriculture production and have healthy soil and clean water for all life. Iowa has some of the best farmers, researchers, and scientists in the world, and many of them are in this room today. We can turn this around. For me, art is part of the solution. My aha moment. I found one of my solutions while I was watching a CBS Sunday Morning segment on Andy Warhol. That was it. That was it. I knew then that I would create a pop art project with an environmental message in a language that will capture those who are otherwise not likely to attend an event or a conference inspired by data, stream biology, and farming. My Pure Iowa Sparkling Stream Water project depicts a fictitious company that bottles water directly from 6 streams. Andy Warhol is spot on with his quote. I think having land and not ruining it is the most beautiful art that anybody could ever want. My project is a tongue-in-cheek play on the fact that our water is not pure by using impactful, oversized 2D and 3D advertising graphics and labels for 16-ounce cans, along with a video to ignite a larger movement of awareness. In addition to the 6 rural streams, my project features and showcases conservation farmer champions from each of the represented watersheds to show how land management can be part of the solution. Their conservation farming practices significantly help keep our soil healthy and our water clean. I am so grateful today that two of our Farming Champions are out in the audience. I'd like to point them out. Ann Wolf representing the Mississippi River right here, and Chris Henning representing the Raccoon River. Well, there are many more farmers that should be on these panels, we know that, but we need many, many more. The other farmer champions in the project include Dick Sloan, Cedar River, Phil Specht, Bloody Run Creek, The Unknown Farmer, Floyd River, and Ron Roseman, Cave Creek. Okay, so here we are. This water, right here, was recently collected from Shiner Creek. It flows directly into the Raccoon River near Squirrel Hollow Park in Greene County. I'm happy to share a sip of this. Is anybody game? It literally is the water that was collected a few weeks ago, and I'm sorry for the rest of the panel because it does have an odor to it. This was the bottle that Chris Henning collected just a few weeks back. Think, Iowans, think. Be a part of the solution. Meet me during the next break at the Isaac Walton Lake table and take your first step and sign up for the Nitrate Watch and get free test strips today. Share this with your family and friends, especially in the rural communities throughout Iowa. Start testing your wells, other streams and waterways. Okay, so Jenny Padden gets credit for writing this little jingle that's driven a few people crazy, but that's the whole point, to make Iowans think. All right, think, Iowans, think. This or this, the choice is yours.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you to the rest of the panelists here. Let's go ahead and start back with Rich. I'd love to discuss some of the themes that you see across all of these different presentations from folks. Rich, do you want to speak to some of the things that you heard as commonalities that you thought were interesting or insightful?
Commonalities. Well, first of all, that first session with the legislators this morning just got me jacked, so I'm calm now. As calm as I get, anyway. You know, the themes are nothing new. A lot of us have been in this game a long time. It's just the way we package and practice those. Incremental gains are gains. Legislators are becoming aware. Persistence is necessary. So it still matters. In Iowa, relationships are still important. In a lot of states in this country, you can't get even close to a legislator. Here, you go up there, you fill out a card, they come down, they talk to you. Use that. Send them a 2-sentence email. Go and visit them when they're home in the off session. Visit with them. We're not that far away, and it only has to happen once. So persistence pays.
I would go on the side of collaboration and innovation. So thinking outside the box at different solutions, different partnerships, different ways we can collaborate across our state, I think is going to be a really important key moving forward and making sure that we continue this relationship building and maybe build those with people that maybe you wouldn't think to build those relationships with. So most of that innovation, that outside the box thinking, and that collaboration.
Still on. Okay. Yeah, I think this, yesterday was a full day, and I went home and I went back to the apartment I have. And, when I stay in Des Moines, I was going over my slides, and what was pounded in my head was broadening the constituency. Even though there was a lot of familiar faces in the room, we came back to that again and again and again. And I was touching up on my slides last night, looking at them this morning. I was like, that's it. And so I'm with you, Rich. It's tough to get pumped up for a legislative session, but I'm feeling pumped up for a legislative session, and it's that opportunity and that challenge to all of us. So that's what I heard again this morning and what I'm taking away today.
And I echo everybody else's inputs. I also believe that we as individuals need to take a special note, just as they were saying today with the representatives. Fill out those postcards and put those individual messages on that PDF for the Nature Summit, the little flash drives. I have the QR codes to the legislators, both the state and the federal link, and I encourage you to use those postcards and just write a quick note that, safe regulations to protect our waterways is really important, and encouraging people to use those are important.
Let's start right back here again, and if you could, one word for each of the panelists, say one word that you're walking away from this entire event. What's one word that's sticking in your mind? We got about 1 minute left, so we're going to do a lightning round.
We can all do more and get more people to share.
Energized.
Advocacy.
Passion. Yelp.
Do we have time for one more round of questions, Neil, or should we get... Okay. All right. We're going to try to play this video, okay? While Christine is doing that, since she expounded on her one word, Graham, why don't you start and tell us more about what you meant by the word that you used.
Sure. Well, I do feel the energy. I felt the energy in the room throughout the day yesterday, and again, I mean, we packed the day. But folks held the energy, held the questions, and that's inspiring. And as, again, gaming up for this morning, that's where my energy was coming from.
Great.
Advocacy in a way, not just with your legislators, state and federal, but with your friends, your family, getting that word out, making sure that you're having creative and collaborative conversations so that advocacy goes more than just on the state and federal side, but also in your everyday relationships.
Passion. Love what you do. Have fun. Enjoy life. Be it, a half-hearted warrior or whatever it is. So do what you do and advocate and all of that, but still remember why we're doing this.
We are what we drink, so think, Iowans think, what we put into our waters affects our sons and daughters. A healthy future we secure by keeping water sources pure. So let's have pure Iowa pure, pure Iowa pure. Let's have pure Iowa pure, sparkling water.
Here we have it, folks. Pure Iowa sparkling stream water. Iowa's best. Just listen to these delightful ingredients. Contains a blend of 100% pure, natural ingredients. Nitrogen, phosphorus, manure.
Warning, contains contaminants known to cause cancer and other hazardous health concerns for humans, animals, and plants.
Pesticides, herbicides, industrial chemicals. 100% pure. You should get some today from your local stream.
A healthy future we secure by keeping water sources pure. So let's have pure Iowa pure, pure Iowa pure. Let's have pure Iowa pure, sparkling water.
Can we give a round of applause for all of our panelists, please? I'll say my one word, and I'll dismiss our panelists here, but my word is relationships. I just am deeply honored to be around each and every one of you here, including all of our amazing panelists who shared each of their perspectives. So I really deeply appreciate the connections that we have and the ability to get together. So again, thank you to Neil for putting us all in the same room. Great. Thanks, folks.